this video is about. Thor navigates Bifrost until ice blocks. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the realm of Asgard, where the golden halls of the Aesir shimmered under the watchful gaze of the All-Father, Odin, a storm was brewing. Thunder rumbled ominously in the distance, echoing the restlessness in Thor's heart. With Mjolnir, his mighty hammer, strapped to his side, he prepared to embark on a quest that might alter the very fabric of the Nine Realms. The sun set behind the mountains of Asgard, splashing hues of orange and violet across the sky. Thor, clad in shimmering chainmail, stood on the edge of the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge that connected worlds. The guardian of the bridge, the enigmatic Heimdall, appeared beside him, his golden eyes scanning the horizon. "Where do you venture, son of Odin?" Heimdall's voice was as calm as the placid waters of the Aesir, yet filled with an undercurrent of urgency. "A darkness spreads through the realms," Thor replied, his voice deep and resolute. "I must seek out the source before it consumes us all. I fear it begins in Jotunheim." Heimdall nodded solemnly, sensing the weight of Thor's words. "Beware, for the frost giants grow restless. Their king, Laufey, stirs with malice. The ice will be thick and their wrath unforgiving." With a swift nod, Thor stepped onto the Bifrost, feeling the familiar surge of energy as the pathway swirled with vibrant colors. He could sense the vibrations of the realms, each pulsating with its own essence. The weathered stones beneath his feet crackled with electricity, a harbinger of what lay ahead. The journey was swift until, without warning, the vibrant colors of the Bifrost dimmed. A chilling gust of wind whipped across the bridge, snapping at Thor's cloak like the jaws of a beast. He steadied himself, squinting into the thickening mist that loomed before him. Suddenly, an ominous crack echoed through the air. The Bifrost trembled, and Thor felt a force pushing against him, a dark magic seeping into the very structure of the bridge. Before he could react, the mist coalesced into ice, manifesting as a frozen barrier that blocked his path. "What sorcery is this?" Thor growled, his grip tightening around Mjolnir. The air turned frigid, each breath crystallizing into clouds before him. From within the icy depths emerged a towering figure, a frost giant with skin as pale as the moonlit snow and eyes like shards of ice. The giant's voice boomed, resonating like thunder in the stillness. "Thor, son of Odin, you seek to cross into my realm. You will not pass. I will shatter your ice and claim my path," Thor proclaimed, summoning the tempest within him. As the two figures faced each other, the bridge vibrated with energy. Thor, the god of thunder, against the frigid might of the ice giant. The giant unleashed a blast of freezing wind, aiming to encase Thor in a tomb of ice. Thor countered, raising Mjolnir high. By the power of the storm, he roared, calling forth a lightning bolt that slashed through the frigid air, striking the ground at the frost giant's feet. The impact sent shockwaves that shattered the ice around them, but the giant remained unyielding. "Foolish god," the giant bellowed, his voice echoing like a distant avalanche. He charged, launching ice shards like daggers toward Thor. The god ducked and rolled, dodging the deadly projectiles, his heart pounding with adrenaline. "Come forth and face me," Thor shouted, surging forward, Mjolnir crackling with energy. With a swift motion, he swung the hammer, aiming for the giant's head. The blow landed with a thunderous crack, sending ice splintering in all directions. But the giant roared, unfazed. "You may strike me down, but I am a sentinel of this bridge. I will not yield." The battle raged on, Thor dodging ice and unleashing torrents of lightning, both combatants locked in a fierce struggle. The Bifrost pulsated, reflecting the chaos of their confrontation as their powers collided with explosive force. In the midst of battle, Thor's thoughts drifted to his family, his father, and the fate of Asgard. The weight of destiny hung heavy on his shoulders. He recalled the stories of old, of heroes who fought bravely against insurmountable odds. Just as the tide began to shift in Thor's favor, the frost giant unleashed a final devastating blow, sending Thor crashing into the crystalline walls of the Bifrost. For a moment, the world blurred, the colors blending into a whirl of confusion, pain flaring through his body. "Is this the best the god of thunder can muster?" taunted the giant, advancing menacingly. "Your legend will end here among the ice." With a sudden burst of determination, Thor pushed himself off the ground, igniting the fire within. "You underestimate the heart of a god," he thundered, rising to his feet, Mjolnir glowing brightly. The frost giant stumbled back, taken aback by the renewed vigor in Thor's battle stance. This was not just about him. This was for Asgard, for the Aesir, and for the honor of the gods. "Your arrogance blinds you," Thor shouted, summoning the storm once more. With a fierce swing of Mjolnir, a colossal bolt of lightning erupted, striking the Bifrost bridge and arcing toward the frost giant. The blast was blinding, and in that moment, time itself seemed to pause. The giant was engulfed in a storm of energy, his figure silhouetted against the raw power of Thor's fury. But the ice began to reform, gathering strength, the giant's voice ringing out through the chaos. "You may win this battle, but the war is far from over. The frost will return, and with it, darkness will reign. No darkness can stand against the light of Asgard," Thor declared, charging forward, striking the giant down with a final, epic blow. The explosion of power sent ripples through the air, and the frost giant fell, shattering like glass into 1,000 icy fragments. As silence settled over the Bifrost, Thor stood amidst the destruction, panting heavily. However, victory came at a cost. The bridge was now marred, fissures spreading like veins in the ice. The darkness that the giant spoke of still lingered in the air, a reminder that greater challenges lay ahead. Heimdall's voice echoed in his mind. "The frost giants will not cease. You must be vigilant, Thor." Drawing a deep breath, Thor looked beyond the ravaged bridge, the distant silhouette of Jotunheim stark against the twilight sky. He tightened his grip on Mjolnir, steeling himself for what lay ahead. With determination etched across his face, he stepped forward, crossing the threshold into the unknown. The adventure had only begun, and the fate of the realms hung precariously in the balance. As he entered the realm of Jotunheim, he could feel the weight of destiny pressing down upon him. The winds of war had begun to stir, and with each step, he knew he was not just fighting for himself, but for all of Asgard. The winds howled like restless spirits, and the shadows of giants loomed ominously in the distance. Thor's heart surged with the thrill of battle, but he understood the price of honor. He was prepared to face whatever horrors awaited him in the icy abyss of Jotunheim, for he was Thor, the god of thunder, and the storm within him would not be extinguished. The tale of his quest was just beginning, and already the echoes of fate whispered promises of honor, tragedy, and sacrifice. As he delved deeper into the icy realm, the looming shadows of his destiny awaited, poised for the next chapter of his saga to unfold. Part 2, The Frosted Abyss. The jagged peaks of Jotunheim loomed ominously as Thor stepped beyond the remnants of the Bifrost. The air crackled not with electricity, but with a biting cold that cut through his chainmail, stinging his skin like shards of ice. Here, in the realm of giants, silence reigned, save for the haunting howls of the wind, a restless symphony that seemed to echo the torment of fallen warriors lost to time. With each step, he felt the weight of ice beneath him, crunching ominously. The ground was littered with the remnants of battles long past, broken weapons, remnants of frost giants who had underestimated their foes. But Thor was no mere warrior. He bore the mantle of the thunder god, a symbol of resilience and unyielding strength. "Mjolnir, guide me," he whispered, feeling the familiar hum of power radiate through his grasp. The hammer warmed slightly, as if responding to his call, a flicker of sunlight amidst the tenebrous shadows. As he ventured deeper, the landscape shifted, becoming a surreal labyrinth of ice and stone. Towering glaciers defied gravity, hanging like colossal icicles, threatening to fall at any moment. Shadows danced among the formations, and Thor's heart raced. He could sense he was not alone. Come forth if you dare." Thor challenged, his voice echoing against the frozen walls, reverberating through the silence. The air thickened with tension, anticipation swirling like a storm about to break. Then, from the belly of the icy expanse emerged a figure cloaked in dark furs, his skin as pale as the moonscape. His eyes glowed with an unsettling light, a reflection of the cold malice brewing within. It was Ymir, the frost giant king, ancient and formidable, a being of pure ice and fury. "Thor, son of Odin," Ymir boomed, his voice rumbling like thunder through the mountains. "You tread on sacred ground. Did you think defeating my sentinel would grant you safe passage? Your reign of terror ends here, Ymir." Thor shouted back defiantly, raising Mjolnir as thunder rolled ominously in the distance. "Bold words for a god who arrives in my realm uninvited," the giant sneered, stepping forward, the ground trembling beneath his weight. "I shall show you what it means to face true power." With a swift motion, Ymir unleashed a blizzard, a torrent of icy wind and snow swirling toward Thor, intent on burying him beneath its frigid embrace. Thor countered instinctively, summoning the storm. By the power of thunder, he roared, releasing a wave of lightning that cleaved through the tempest, illuminating the darkness. The two forces collided in a cataclysm of energy, snow and lightning fracturing the air around them. The blizzard dispersed, revealing a battlefield formed of ice and fury. Thor charged forward, hammer held high, each breath a plume of vapor, heart thundering in sync with Mjolnir's pulse. Ymir, unfazed, retaliated with a swing of his massive arm, sending shards of ice spiraling toward Thor like lethal spears. The god of thunder ducked and rolled, dodging with the agility of a lightning strike. "Your ice cannot hold me," he declared, launching himself into the air, Mjolnir crackling with power. "Your arrogance is your doom." Ymir roared, summoning the ice around him to harden into a massive barrier, the walls rising to shield him from Thor's onslaught. The air crackled with anticipation, as if the very realm held its breath. "Mjolnir, guide my hand," Thor shouted, channeling his fury. With fierce determination, he hurled the hammer toward the barrier, lightning arcing from the weapon, striking the ice with a deafening explosion that reverberated through the mountains. The barrier shattered, sending icy fragments flying like deadly shrapnel. In the chaos, Ymir staggered back, momentarily disoriented. Seizing the opportunity, Thor dashed forward, his hammer whirling through the air, a tempest of divine might. "You will not escape your fate," he yelled, bringing Mjolnir down in a blinding arc. The blow connected, erupting with a thunderous crack, but Ymir, though wounded, roared defiantly, "You think to challenge a king? I am eternal." The giant retaliated, summoning the remnants of the blizzard, a swirling vortex of ice and cold, to engulf Thor once more. The winds howled, growing in intensity, the tempest closing in like a dark curtain. Thor steadied himself, gritting his teeth, feeling the chill seep into his bones. "Enough of your games," Thor bellowed, eyes aflame with determination. "I am the storm, I am thunder." With a primal scream, he unleashed Mjolnir, the hammer soaring through the blizzard, piercing the heart of the storm. The impact was cataclysmic. An explosion of light and sound erupted, scattering the icy winds and slashing a path through the blizzard. Ymir faltered, the storm weakening under the might of Thor's unwavering will. With the tempest dispersing, Thor saw his chance. He charged forward, heart pounding, the ground shaking beneath his feet. "This ends now." With a final mighty swing, he struck Ymir's chest, the raw power of the storm encapsulated within Mjolnir bursting forth in a radiant display of thunder. Ymir's roar shattered the stillness, echoing through the mountains like an avalanche as he was thrown back against the icy cliffs. Yet even as the giant fell, he managed a disdainful sneer. "You may defeat me today, Thor, but know this. Darkness is a seed planted in the hearts of giants. I will return." With that, the frost giant crumbled into a cascade of ice and snow, 1,000 shards spiraling into the abyss. The cold air thickened with uneasy silence, and Thor took a moment to breathe, the adrenaline still coursing through his veins. Yet the victory felt hollow. The shadows of darkness lingered, and the faint whispers of Ymir's prophecy echoed in his mind. What demonic forces await? He mused, glancing at the remnants of the battle. The realm around him shifted, and he realized the ice was not yet finished. It began to reform, coalescing into monstrous shapes that roared with fury, ice beasts, guardians of Ymir, angry and thrumming with vengeance. More monsters to handle. Thor grinned, lifting Mjolnir once more. "Come forth, wretched beasts. I shall send you to the depths of the abyss." With that, he charged into the fray, hammer swinging, lightning crackling and illuminating the dark ice. Each swing sent beasts tumbling to the ground, yet more emerged from the frozen depths. They howled, a chorus of despair and rage, but Thor's resolve only hardened, fueling his onslaught. The battle raged, a chaotic dance of fury and ferocity, as Thor fought back-to-back against the ice beasts. He felt their claws graze his skin, the cold biting into his muscles, but each strike from Mjolnir sent electrifying energy coursing through the air. "Your grasp on this realm ends here," he shouted, voice booming through the tumult as thunder rumbled overhead. With each beast that fell, the echoes of the ancient giants filled the air, a reminder of a greater darkness yet to come. Just when he thought the tide was turning, a colossal figure broke through the icy depths, even larger than Ymir. Its eyes glowed with an ancient malice, and its roar shook the very foundation of Jotunheim. "You dare challenge the legacy of the giants? No legacy thrives under the weight of tyranny," Thor retorted, already feeling the stirrings of dread. This beast was different. Its presence was a testament to the darkness that Ymir had spoken of. With fearsome determination, Thor prepared to face this new threat. He would not falter, he would not yield. For with each moment, the fate of Asgard and the 9 realms hung in the balance. "Prepare yourself," he bellowed, raising Mjolnir high, the storm within him roaring to life. The icy realm may have birthed monsters, but it would not extinguish a god's spirit. As the colossal beast charged, Thor braced himself. The thrill of battle surged through his veins, a call to honor and destiny, a reminder that even in the darkest abyss, the light of courage would shine through. The tale was far from over. It was a saga of thunder, a timeless struggle against the frigid embrace of darkness that sought to consume all. And as the thunder god stood on the precipice of fate, he knew he would fight until the very end. The storm was just beginning to awaken. Part 3. The Colossal Frost Leviathan. The colossal beast towered before Thor, its form an embodiment of winter's fury. It was an ice leviathan, forged in the heart of glacier and storm, with jagged icicles jutting from its spine, glistening like blades of despair. Its eyes, molten pools of blue, reflected a primal rage that sent chills down Thor's spine. "You dare stand against the legacy of the giants?" The Leviathan thundered, its voice echoing across the icy expanse like the death knell of 1,000 warriors. The ground quaked beneath its weight, and the winds howled in response, swirling around Thor like ominous spirits. "Legacy, it is tyranny that you protect," Thor shouted back, gripping Mjolnir tightly, feeling the familiar warmth of its power coursing through him. "I am Thor, god of thunder. Today, I will shatter your reign and send your darkness back to the void." With a roar that shook the mountains, the ice leviathan lunged forward. Thor's heart raced as he dodged to the side, narrowly avoiding the crushing blow of its massive tail. The impact sent shards of ice flying, embedding themselves in the ground like the teeth of a beast. "Mjolnir," Thor called, feeling the hammer pulsate with energy. He hurled it at the leviathan with all his might. The hammer soared through the air, crackling with lightning, but the beast twisted, its massive form moving with surprising agility. The hammer struck the ground, creating a shockwave that rippled through the landscape but failed to find its mark. The leviathan laughed, a sound that resonated in Thor's bones like the cracks of thunder in the distance. "You think mere lightning can pierce my hide? I am ice incarnate. Then let the storm rage." Thor bellowed, summoning the winds, calling forth a tempest that whipped through the valley, swirling snow and ice around him. With a fierce determination, he charged at the Leviathan, dodging its massive paws as he weaved through the chaos of its fury. The storm answered his call, lightning illuminating the dark sky as Thor leaped, aiming for the beast's throat. You will regret underestimating a god. He swung Mjolnir, the hammer connecting with a resounding crack against the Leviathan's neck, sending shockwaves that reverberated through the icy ground. The Leviathan howled in pain, rearing back, but the victory was short-lived. With a roar of rage, it retaliated, swiping Thor aside as though he were a mere insect. Thor felt the cold impact of the beast's claw, sending him sprawling across the icy terrain. The world spun, colors blurring as he struggled to regain his footing. Pathetic, the Leviathan boomed, advancing menacingly. You are but a fleeting storm, and I am eternal. Grimacing, Thor pushed himself up, blood trickling from a gash on his brow. I am the storm that brings change, he shouted, defiance igniting within him like a wildfire. I will not go down without a fight. With renewed vigor, he called upon the storm once more, his voice booming through the chaos. By Odin's might, lightning crackled, swirling around him, illuminating the darkness as he stood tall against the Leviathan's monstrous form. The beast surged forward again, but this time Thor was ready. With Mjolnir held high, he struck the ground, sending a shockwave reverberating through the ice, unbalancing the Leviathan. It staggered, its massive body crashing against the frozen surface, ice splintering like glass. Now is my chance, Thor thought, bursting forward with every ounce of strength. He leaped onto the Leviathan's back, climbing the jagged ice formations, using his agility to dodge the beast's desperate swipes. Get off me, the Leviathan roared, but Thor was undeterred. He reached the creature's neck, gripping Mjolnir tightly as he prepared to strike. This ends now. With a mighty swing, he brought Mjolnir down, the explosive force of thunder erupting like a supernova. The hammer connected with the beast's icy flesh, sending shards flying and causing the Leviathan to howl in agony. But the Leviathan was not finished. In a desperate act, it twisted its great neck, flinging Thor off like a gnat. He landed hard, rolling across the ice, breath knocked from his lungs. The Leviathan surged toward him, its icy maw wide, intent on devouring the god. By the Aesir, Thor gasped, scrambling to his feet, summoning the last vestiges of his strength. As the jaws of the Leviathan closed in, he raised Mjolnir high above his head, calling forth the tempest once more. Storm of Asgard, he roared, unleashing a torrent of lightning that shot forth like a vengeful spear. The bolt struck the beast's mouth just as it was about to close, igniting a cataclysmic explosion of energy that illuminated the entire realm. The Leviathan reeled back, its roar now a horrific wail as the storm engulfed it, electricity coursing through its icy body. You will pay for this, Thor. It shrieked, thrashing about, attempting to rid itself of the power consuming it. I fear nothing, Thor shouted, charging forward through the chaos, his heart pounding like war drums. With a final, powerful swing, he struck Mjolnir against the Leviathan's head, the force of the blow echoing like thunder across the mountains. The Leviathan collapsed, its massive body shattering into fragments of ice that rained down like frozen tears. The air crackled with residual energy, and for a moment all was silent, the vast plains of Jotunheim at peace. Yet Thor knew this was merely a fleeting respite. The shadows of Ymir's prophecy loomed large, and he could feel the remnants of dark magic lingering in the air. I must find the source, he murmured, steeling himself for what lay ahead. Suddenly, the ground shook violently beneath him. Cracks spread across the ice like veins, and the air thickened with dark energy. From the fissures, shapes began to emerge, smaller frost giants, their eyes blazing with hatred, emerging from the depths of the earth like vengeful spirits. Thor, one of them shouted, brandishing a spear draped in frost. You have slain Ymir. You will pay for your insolence. With a fierce determination, Thor tightened his grip on Mjolnir, ready to face the oncoming tide. "Then let us end this here," he declared, the storm within him roaring to life as he prepared to unleash his fury once more. As the frost giants charged, pain and fury surged through Thor's veins. He felt the weight of destiny upon him, the legacy of the Aesir echoing in his heart. For Asgard, he bellowed, launching himself into the fray, the battle cry of a god ringing through the icy landscape. The clash began anew, Thor fighting with the ferocity of 1,000 storms, each swing of Mjolnir sending shockwaves through the ranks of frost giants. He dodged their weapons, feeling the cold air slice past him, but he pressed on, undeterred. With each foe that fell, the shadows around him deepened, a dark reminder of the horrors yet to come. "This is not just my battle," he shouted amidst the chaos. "It is for every soul that yearns for freedom." The ground beneath him shook again, threatening to swallow him whole. But Thor stood firm, his heart resolute, bearing the hopes of Asgard like a shield against the darkness. He would fight until his last breath. The storms would not die while he still stood. As the final frost giant fell, the darkness around him pulsed, and a chilling laughter echoed through the air. "Foolish god," a voice sneered, resonating with the cold malice of Ymir. "You think you have won. You will face far more than mere frost giants." In that moment, Thor felt the ground tremble beneath him, a prelude to the greater darkness that awaited. The storm within him raged, a force of nature unyielding. "Bring it on," he roared, ready to confront whatever nightmare awaited. For he was Thor, god of thunder, and destined to face even the fiercest darkness with the unyielding light of honor and courage. The battle against the shadows was just beginning, and he would not falter. The saga of bravery, tragedy, and triumph awaited him in the heart of Jotunheim, and he was determined to carve his name into the legends of the Aesir. The storm was only awakening. Part 4, The Icy Cataclysm. As the last remnants of the frost giants lay scattered across the bleak expanse of Jotunheim, Thor stood amidst the remnants of battle, his breath rising like steam in the frigid air. Mjolnir pulsed at his side, a steadfast companion in the chaos. Still, an unsettling quiet permeated the icy realm, a silence that felt pregnant with foreboding and hidden malice. The chill of the air wrapped around him like a shroud, and he could feel the remnants of Ymir's dark magic thrumming beneath his feet. Shadows danced at the corners of his vision, teasing him with their elusive presence. The darkness loomed larger, a palpable threat that sent shivers down his spine. "Face me," Thor shouted into the void, his voice echoing across the icy plains. "I will not cower in the face of your cowardice." From the depths of the cracks in the ice, the laughter reverberated again, a sound that sent chills down Thor's spine. "Foolish boy, you believe you have won. This realm is but a gateway, and I shall unleash the depths of darkness upon you." The earth shook, and with it, the jagged fissures widened, releasing a bellowing mist that coiled like serpents through the air. From these chasms, dark figures began to emerge, clad in shadows and ice, their forms twisted and grotesque. They were the offspring of Ymir, remnants of the frost giants, but infused with a dark energy that twisted their very essence. "Come forth if you dare," Thor roared, raising Mjolnir, its surface sparking with electricity, illuminating the darkness like a beacon of hope. "Your tyranny ends here." The shadows surged forward, a tide of malevolence. Thor charged toward them, heart pounding with the rhythm of battle. As he reached the first line of creatures, he swung Mjolnir, the hammer crackling with power. The impact sent a powerful shockwave coursing through the ground, scattering the dark figures like leaves in a tempest. "Is that all you can muster?" he shouted, emboldened by the thrill of the fight. The dark figures cried out in fury, reforming and charging again, their eyes filled with an insatiable hunger for vengeance. The first of the creatures lunged at him, claws glinting in the pale light, but Thor sidestepped, bringing Mjolnir down upon its head with a resounding crack. The creature shattered into shards of ice and shadow, but more came, surging forward with relentless fury. "Let the storm rage," Thor shouted, the air around him thickening with energy. He summoned the tempest, calling forth lightning that illuminated the battlefield in stark flashes of brilliance. Each strike sent shockwaves rippling through the enemies, scattering them like dust. Yet for every creature he dispatched, 10 more emerged, an endless horde intent on his destruction. The ground trembled beneath their collective weight, and Thor felt the tide of battle shifting against him. He could sense their dark magic, a stinging chill that seeped into his bones, threatening to extinguish his fiery resolve. "Stand tall, Thor," he whispered to himself, drawing strength from the memory of his father, Odin, and the legacy of the Aesir. "You are not alone in this fight." With renewed determination, he leaped into the fray, weaving through the chaotic mass of shadows and ice, Mjolnir singing through the air. He struck down another creature, feeling the surge of victory, yet as he turned, a sharp pain lanced through his side. One of the dark figures had managed to stab him with a spear of ice. "Ah!" Thor grunted, doubling over as blood mixed with ice and snow. The world spun, but the storm within him surged to life, instinctively pushing back the pain. "You will pay for that," he bellowed, fury igniting within him. In a burst of adrenaline, he swung Mjolnir, channeling the raging storm into the hammer. A bolt of lightning split the sky, striking down upon the nearest shadows, incinerating them into a burst of shimmering frost. The darkness roared, a cacophony of rage and vengeance as it swarmed around him. "This is your final stand," Thor cried, summoning the tempest in a final desperate act. The winds howled, whipping around him with ferocity as he felt the magic of the storm coursing through his veins. He began to ascend, the breathtaking power lifting him into the air, the lightning arcing around him in brilliant displays. "Feel the wrath of a god," he announced, raising Mjolnir high above. The skies darkened, the air crackling with energy, and for a brief moment the shadowy figures hesitated, fear coursing through their ranks. Then with a deafening roar, Thor hurled Mjolnir into the sky. The hammer soared, igniting the heavens with a blinding flash before plummeting back to earth. "By Odin's will," he shouted, and the ground erupted in a cataclysm of thunder and lightning. The shockwave knocked the dark figures off their feet, their anguished cries mingling with the tempest. As the dust settled, Thor landed, breathing heavily, eyes scanning the battlefield. He had bought himself momentary respite, but he knew the shadows were not finished with him yet. "Your power is impressive, but it will not save you." A voice boomed from the depths of the ice, deep and chilling, resonating with ancient malice. Emerging from the abyss was a figure even larger than Ymir, a colossal frost giant with skin of ice and eyes of molten fury. "Behold the chosen of the abyss. I am Narfi, the herald of darkness," the giant proclaimed, his voice shaking the very foundation of Jotunheim. "Then let us see if your darkness can withstand the storm." Thor thundered, raising Mjolnir once more, feeling the combined energy of the tempest and his fury coiling within him. Narfi's laughter was like the cracking of glaciers. "You are brave, but foolish. You will find that true power lies not in the storm, but in the embrace of despair." With a single motion, Narfi unleashed a blast of frost that surged toward Thor, freezing everything in its path. Thor leaped aside, dodging the icy tendrils, but the sheer force of the blast sent him staggering. The air crackled with tension, and he knew he was facing a formidable foe. "Mjolnir, grant me your strength," Thor shouted, feeling the call of his ancestors surge through him. He charged forward, dodging Narfi's attacks, weaving through the icy onslaught, each movement a dance of defiance. With a fierce roar, he swung Mjolnir, striking the giant's leg. The impact sent shockwaves through the very ground, but Narfi merely stumbled, anger flashing in his eyes. "You think that strike can bring me down? I am the embodiment of winter. Then I shall be the tempest that extinguishes your winter." Thor shouted, determination igniting within him. He unleashed a torrent of lightning that struck Narfi's shoulder, illuminating the darkness around them in a dazzling flash. The giant howled in rage, retaliating with a powerful swing of his arm that Thor barely managed to evade. You will pay dearly for that insolence." Narfi roared, launching himself forward, the ground quaking beneath his weight. In that moment, Thor knew he had to end this battle. He summoned all of his strength, feeling the storm within him reach a boiling point. "For Asgard," he cried, gathering the winds, the lightning, the very essence of the storm into Mjolnir. In a blinding frenzy, he raced toward Narfi, the giant preparing for another strike. This ends now. With a mighty swing, he unleashed a devastating blow, Mjolnir crackling with energy, the air thick with anticipation. The impact shattered the icy ground, sending fragments flying as a deafening echo resonated through the realm. Narfi staggered back, the light of Mjolnir burning through the darkness that had enveloped him. "No!" he roared, fury etched upon his monstrous face. With a final surge, Thor summoned the storm to its peak. "I am thunder, I am Asgard," he shouted, unleashing the full might of Mjolnir. The skies erupted, lightning striking with a ferocity unmatched, engulfing Narfi in a blinding explosion. The remnants of the darkness shrieked as the power surged through them, unraveling their very essence. In the wake of the storm, the shadows dissipated, and Narfi fell, his colossal form crashing against the ground, splintering into a million shards of ice. As the tempest began to calm, Thor stood amidst the remnants of battle, his chest heaving, exhaustion creeping into his bones. The icy realm lay silent, the shadows of darkness lifted, but the echoes of the battle reverberated in his mind. Yet even as the victory settled in, Thor knew the cost of honor. He felt the weight of the realms upon his shoulders, for while he had triumphed today, the darkness hinted at its return. The winds whispered warnings of the future, but as he looked to the horizon, the sun broke through the clouds, illuminating the realm in golden light. "I will,"